pregnancy is not that matters in this class, but it turned to be pregnancy is very, very important, I think, because most of you don't think it is important. So, well, just talk to your friends. If you think, if you cannot be here, I mean 1/3 of 1, you cannot get good grade, right? And if you, anytime, always be here with me, well, you guys can help me, definitely. I'm very positive. That doesn't mean, only parentheses A. All right, I think one of my PhD students gave you the rest of the chapter 5. I think he is very, man of ability. I think you guys fully understand what he said. If you have any question on the comments, no? Okay, that's great. All right, I will call your name at the end of the class. Okay, well, I think it is time to move environmental science field to environmental engineering. I think it is around the April 16th. It is almost, we have almost 1 month for the environmental engineering. I think I usually taught this environmental chemistry class a semester to cover the book. You guys don't have that, right? Well, anyway, that book is very, very wonderful thing. But the rest chapter, which covers the toxic chemicals, including inorganic part and organic part, and also radio nucleic part. But I don't think this is very good for you to set up full knowledge of the environmental science and engineering. Although these are very, very important because most of the people, most of the environmental scientists and engineers actually working on a whole, mostly in these contaminants. So as I already taught, in old, ancient Chinese problem, if you know your enemy, you can win the game. And never ever go to the workplace if you don't know the enemy. That is very, very important. These are enemies, the list of enemies. Nowadays, the scientists, your alliance actually are working on the research of these chemicals. But the important thing is now you are the starter, right? So you don't have to be very specific on the your work from the very beginning. So I just give you just one sample class for the environmental contaminants. We will move to the environmental engineering next class. Mostly this is the main text, environmental engineering science. Mostly this was written by Najrat and Lisa Arbes Cohen. These two are the professors at University of California, Berkeley. They are very good professors, and they are very good teachers, actually. I got 3 of their classes before when I was a PhD student. Well, anyway, the important thing is these include a whole bunch of environmental engineering stuff. So I don't think we can, hey, gentlemen, would you just, you don't use that one for editing my talk, right? Yeah, well, that is very, very lewd behavior. Well, one of them, I just to give you one example. In the United States, student rights are very, very important. Although student rights are important, when they show such kind of rude behavior, there are lots of difference in responses from professors. You can get expelled from the class. Why do you do that? Why do you want to do that? Is it kind of marijuana or kind of it's just like the such kind of just don't do that. Think about that. When you will be professor, right? And one of your students just see the telephone, mobile phone. How do you feel it? Wow, you guys are very, very brilliant. You don't want to have my class. Well, you just focus on your mobile phone, and you can have A. So continue watch your mobile phone show. Don't do that. All right. So I just take a couple of chapters, which I think are very, very important. And this one, I think this one is kind of the deep Bible of environmental engineering. Unit operation and processes in environmental engineering. If you review this one, or if you read this one carefully, you can design water treatment plant, and also you can design wastewater treatment plant. Most of the people in the environmental engineering side, I mean mostly environmental engineers in the private firm, who is building the facility, actually still read this one. Because you can design step by step, and whole processes and whole wastewater and water treatment processes actually in there, in here. Unfortunately, this one, I taught it, this one for full 2 semester, actually, to the undergraduate student, actually, Indiana University there. But, well, I also take some part and will teach you for the environmental engineering. Well, as I already taught, the differences between environmental science and engineering is not that different. But important thing is, one is kind of finding the basics of environmental knowledge, and the other one is it is just like this. I just want to build up environmental facility. Well, you guys can build up environmental facility using environmental science, actually, but it is not exact estimation. But using environmental engineering, you guys can definitely build up the facility, which cannot be destroyed in 100 or 200 years, unless North Korean invaded us or bombard that facility, right? So, if you have really strong interest in environmental engineering, purchase one, or you can get it from the university library, right? Okay, let's talk about the environmental toxicants, which is, some people think this is very interesting, and some people think this is very boring, because, well, think about that. When you have organic chemistry, what's your feeling? What is just like? Is it just like the Bible of the gods?
No.
What is it like? What was it like?
Just memorize all the things.
Yeah. if you are just participating in the organic chemistry class without any purpose, it is kind of memorizing the chemical structure. Yeah, that's right. Because I have very similar experience. I was a PhD student. It was around 15, 16, 17 years ago. And one of my committee members, doctoral committee members, advised me to have organic chemistry course. It is 3-semester course actually, but I just have 2 full semester. As I went, did I have talked about this? I was there, and at first time I was very I complained a lot. Why? I can study for myself. Really? Well, I can do it, reading the chemicals, because I have very, very strong interest in the whole bunch of chemicals at that time. As I already talked to you, I injected the toxic chemicals in my body. So I know them very well, because I want to live, right? But the committee member just asked me to participate in the 2 full semester of organic chemistry. Wow, it is just like I was in hell actually. But when I was at the organic chemistry class, it's not that bad. It was not that bad. There are so many pretty girl students there. Mostly 70% are girl students actually. Wonderful. Yeah, they always help me and give to me, and candies, chocolates every time, and even coffee. I don't know. But well, anyway, the important thing is I can see a whole bunch of cards. Every cards, they draw the chemical structure, and then they memorize it. I think that is totally stupid thing, Why? There is kind of rule how to call it, right? If you really care about that, well, actually calling the names is not that problem. Think about that. He is my enemy. He kills my relatives, and I really need to revenge him. So you guys have proper information actually, right? And you know which one is enemy and which one is your side. You know the rule actually, because you have very strong interest in this one actually. Think about that. If these chemicals actually in your body or in the place you live in, you definitely want to know what is the physical chemical characteristics of this chemical. The chemical structure? Well, yeah, I can show you how difficult it is. This one is DDT actually, and this one is DDE, and this one is methylpicrol. And then you can see very, bunch of different. But think about that. If this can give you a Nobel Prize, is there anybody who don't want to memorize this, or Well, in that case, maybe this chemical structure just popped out from your head, right? So interest and the purpose are very, very important. Right. So environmental science and engineering, well, if you think this is kind of, to have good grade because Professor Lee usually give good grade, well, that's good. But if I can give you kind of, intuition or kind of purpose to study, well, I think that is my intent. So let's start the toxic chemicals. Well, because we don't have time, I just want to introduce toxic chemicals, organic chemicals, pesticides specifically. And there are so many different pesticides, chlorinated pesticide. Well, as I already talked to you, German Nazis actually killed Jews, actually, Jewish people, using chlorine, combined chemical. So it is very harmful to human. That means human is very strong, actually. But the bugs and the termites and the vermins are very, very weak. They just want to live. But we don't want to live with them. So we are using chemical bonded organic chemicals, chlorine bonded organic chemicals. All right. So I will just focus on the chlorine bonded pesticide at this time. And if you have interest in the pesticide and contaminants, other contaminants, well, deal with it. But the important thing is, as I already talked, the amount is usually, think about that. Zinc. Have you heard about the almighty vitamin which was sold in the United States? Well, in Korea, the pharmaceutical company also, do the advertisement and they sell it nowadays. Do you know what it is? Hey, Mr. Mobile. Do you know that? No, right? Well, have you heard about Centrum? Centrum? Well, I'm not the Centrum company, pharmacologist. Centrum is kind of multivitamin, which include a whole bunch of cations and anions. If you see the Centrum, iron ZN, what is ZN? How do they call it? Zit? Zinc? Yeah. In Korean?
게슈탈트 분기현상으로 왜 머릿속에 떠오르지 않습니다. 뭐지? 아연 아닌가요?
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, so this one actually, if you saw the concentration in Centrum, the content of zinc is around 0.02 milligrams per liter. Because I ate it, this morning, and I just saw it the label. But the important thing is, if you just increase the concentration by 100 times, let's say it is 2 milligrams, what happens is it actually dissolves your stomach. Wow. 100 times difference could be kind of very good, vitamin source, and 100 times higher actually dissolve your stomach. Wow. So you guys really need to be very careful. Sometimes it could be kind of essentials for your body, and sometimes the high concentration can cause significant health problem, toxicants. All right. Pesticide. Pesticide include many types of chemicals spread around in environment to kill some specific sort of pest. So what is the pest? Pest. Something harm to us, right? Termite pest. Michael, do you think termite pest?
I don't think so.
What do you think about this termite pest?
It's pest because it eats our capsules.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes pests attack people. It actually kills people. So termites can be fast, but some cold area, I think pest is kind of very difficult inside of the soil, so it cannot be. Well, anyway, usually insects, insecticides and weeds, herbicide, and fungus, fungi and fungicide. So sides means kind of killing, right? So homicide, lots of different. Look at the Latin scholars, in this word, what does the side suffix mean? Well, it's a killing. Total worldwide pesticide, 1997, it was 0.6 times 10 to 6 tons per year. Wow! So you guys are very wondering, why do we need to, have kind of, fertilizers and pesticides? Because you never ever go to the, went to the farming area. Have you ever go there and did some work, planting and raising plants? If you don't have it nowadays, you never ever have, one, pinch of the lights. Actually, there are these are very, very important right nowadays. So when the North Korean actually launched the rockets, actually it turned out to be a failure. Actually, some economists just evaluate the value of rockets as a fertilizer, because fertilizer and pesticides are important. Historically, insecticides have gone through several generations. Well, there are so many, interesting stories. So different generation. Well, actually, Coca-Cola has, different generation. Pepsi has different generation, and also this pesticide has different generation. Generation zero. What do you think of generation zero? In the ancient days, or nowadays, you guys actually use generation zero kind of pesticide. If you saw the cockroach, around you, and what you want to do at first time, it is a little bit remote, space. You just take something and then, throw it, right? That is generation zero pesticide. Here. Rocks, actually, but ancient days rocks, you can find it near you, but nowadays you cannot find it in your place, actually. Have you? If so, you are living in the nature, actually. I am. And then fly paper. Have you seen the fly paper? Well, when I was middle school, even I was a college boy, I can see the fly paper everywhere. It is very useful. Sometimes in Korea, in China, there is mouse paper. Put it, mouse just you just put some puts on the mouse paper, and mouse just jump into the paper. It is very sticky, so it cannot be run away. So you can see it very, very visible. It's a huge white paper. It's kind of generation zero, and as everybody here knows, it is kind of the winner of the generation zero. Fly sweaters, actually, sweaters. Japan. Even I really don't know. I can see actually that fly sweater actually in the United States, in the southern part. Are you guys using a fly sweater?
Fly paper, mostly.
Mostly, yeah. That is, I think, much more efficient, I think. So these are kind of physical type of the pesticide, actually. So the first time, whatever products they are, the start and the beginning is physical. You may agree on this one. And then, generation one, these are inorganic compounds. Just like the, if you see the Korean dynasty or old, dynasty drama, you can see the king just order the trader take him a bowl of the toxicants, right? That is generation 1 to the bugs and pest actually. So these were inorganic compounds such as Paris green and green lead. These compounds do not specifically kill just insect. You can see many animal can be dead, mammals actually, dogs. You can see many dogs actually were dead due to the mouse, drug actually, right? So that is Paris green and green red actually. They are not used anymore. Well, one good thing is it cannot be easily spread in the body. So if you found, the dog actually ate this drug, and if you just inject, a cup of the soap water, and you can save the dog actually. This is very, very important. And then generation 2A, mostly chlorinated compounds. These were the now infamous chlorinated organic compounds, such as DDT. The compounds have, substantial ecological problems and are largely banned in the industrialized world. So, why the chemicals, this pesticide, so important when it is discharged into the environment? Well, to the farmers and to the the producer of the pesticide company, what kind of chemicals, what kind of pesticide they like? They want to kill more bugs, right? So that means they want to stay the chemical there, just to stay there. Although it rains, and although it snows, although what happened, what kind of environmental changes happen, they want to such chemicals stay there and go effective. But as an environmental scientist, what do you want? Well, we actually respect the farmer's view, and we respect the producer's view. So it's okay, spray it and kill the bugs, and then it just degraded, So no more effectiveness, it just, because it can cause harm to any other living organisms, right? So nowadays, these are very, very critical. So it should stay longer to follow the view of farmers and the producers, actually. And it can stay shorter as the environmental scientist and environmentalist, view. To follow that is very, very important. So environmental. Have you heard about environmentalist? Environmentalist. What is environmentalist? Sam? Environmentalist. Well, some of you maybe want to be an environmentalist, actually, which is totally environmental scientist and environmentalist. Environmentalist is kind of people who have very strong interest in the environmental science and engineering and environmental problems, but their knowledge is not based on environmental science. Much more lean on the environmental policy. Greenpeace, they are environmentalists. I'm not saying you guys should fight with the such kind of stupid. I'm not saying stupid. Well, this is my private, important thing is appropriate knowledge and opinion comes from well-organized knowledge. This is very, very important. If you just lean on the power of the politics, it can be easily destroyed. Okay. Well, anyway. However, most of these compounds such long environment lifetime that they can still be found. They just sprayed it. Well, at that time, nobody cared about the the side effect actually. Well, maybe I will introduce the founder. I mean, the researcher who invented DDT actually got the Nobel Prize actually. If he know the DDT can cause cancer and can cause much harm to the environment, I think he may not want to invent this. But at that time, nobody cared about this. Even they are sprinkling on your Grand Cross forehead actually to expel the lice actually, right? So most of these compounds were substantially more toxic to insects compared to mammals. Well, this is good part actually. And then generation 2B, after the problems of chlorinated organics, because it exists long time, we hate that. The chemical and agricultural industry went to organophosphorus, chlorine, toxic, but they want to use organophosphorus because they don't want to stay the chemical around there, right? But it have much more power to kill the bugs. So they just take it out chlorine part from the organic chemical side, and then they just attach phosphorus. Phosphorus-based compound such as terpene. Although these chemicals were particularly long-lived in the environment, they were more toxic to mammals as compared to chlorinated compounds. Well, these are very old days, chemicals. It can kill the bugs with very, serious pain. Well, most of you, maybe every year, mostly in summertime, you guys heard about the people commit suicide with drinking, pesticide, right? Because we still use this generation 2B style chemicals because it can kill you, right? But nowadays we are using generation 3 chemicals. It just it is just like drug. It's already taught. There are two types of pesticide, vermin control pill nowadays. Old days, it just stop the muscle movement of the vermin, so you can see the vermins when you have something bowel movement. Actually, you can see it. But nowadays, the pill control pill actually dissolve the strong membrane of the vermin. If it stay in the stomach, the very strong acid actually dissolve the vermin. So the vermin actually can be a very good source of your nutrition. Wow. So these compounds often mimic some feature of insects' natural hormones. So if you just cut out the producing the hormone part, what happens? You cannot have your kids actually, right? And you may be, most of you are just kind of unisex style of the people. Man cannot be man, and woman cannot be woman. So the people actually, the scientists actually developed the chemicals, so they cannot have their siblings, bug siblings anymore. This is very wonderful, right? But it is kind of Nazi and German to the bugs. Maybe. My condolences to the bugs. So these include pheromones and insect growth regulators and other compounds that stimulate these natural products. Oh, very smart. All right. And now I will introduce you a couple of, actually several chlorinated chemicals. Here, dipenyl methane analog. Well, as I later, dipenyl is kind of this aromatic compound. So di means two, and the penyl means this structure. So as you can see, this is penyl. And so di means dichloro means there is two chlorine attached penyl. So dichloro dipenyl. And then if you see this structure, ethane. You guys know ethane, right? Ethane is alkane structure, right? It has a single bond, and because carbon has 4 branch, it is just like this. And you can see here CCl3. So this part is CCl3, right? And then this part, the penylene is attached. And then 2 chlorine attached. And here, right, so, and then here, H, right? So, dichloro, dipenyl, and then trichloroethane, right? Yeah. Dichloro, dipenyl, this is ethane, and trichloroethane. So this is how it's called, But think about that. If you're loving, your boy and girlfriends, and you just want to know whatever information they have, actually. But think about that. This is very, very simple, rule. So this is if you just look at this one, you guys know this is orthosite, right? This is para, and this is meta, right? So this is para, abbreviated as a T prime isomer, actually. And this one was invented by Paul Müller. Well, actually, he is not German organic chemist, and he won the Nobel Prize in medicine 1948 for malaria control. This is very, very important. As I recall, this DDT was also actually expelled from the developed country and even developing country. But the important thing is this one is still used in the Africa. I think I already told you the reason why. If you don't use this one, Africa, the death rate of the people by the malaria will highly increase. So the UN and other, they just recommend just use it. And also they have very similar example too for the AIDS, actually. Well, AIDS also has very different generation drug. Nowadays, if you have just a very small pill, well, you can live. It is just like you are having hepatitis, or you have kind of the virus, different viruses in your body. So if somebody just judging you, you're a very bad guy. Unless that, well, you can just live regular life. But always, if you want to live in 5 years, you need to take 100 pills, to live. That is generation 0 pill called AGT. It is kind of mixed cocktail. Nowadays, no country actually is using that chemical, but Africa, they are using it. Think about that, this amount of drug every day after having meal. So anyway, they are still using it. So environmental science and engineering is kind of, well, I cannot say though, you can always think about the political side. This is very, very important because most of the people think doing environmental science and engineering is right. That means you really need to think about which way you want to go. Do you want to be a rich life, to have job in DuPont, in the chemical company as a defender environmental scientist? Or you can go to the green piece without any payment, and you can be an activist actually. Well, to go is your decision. But the important thing is just don't go the place. Think about your future at first time. That is very, very important. Greenpeace is not that good place. They suck actually. All right, this is my personal view. Not necessary to support the same view guys. All right. Because of the problem with the calcium metabolism, at first time, the scientists find out it can actually make a bird's shell very thin. That means, they cannot have siblings. This is very, very important. So DDT has been banned in most industries and industrialized country since 1970 and 75. And also, there is some another, intermediates. Well, at first time they invented, think about that, 1948, the scientist, Paul, did he consider about what is the intermediates after discharging it to the environment? I don't think he has very, very, specific consideration over, he just invented and he was very happy. And then the Nobel Prize was, given to him. Maybe he kind of have, But think about this one. The people who is working on the quantum, area. Well, most of the people, physicists actually, in German, half of them went to the United States, and half of them went to the Soviet Union actually. What they did was they continued their job, what they usually did in the Germany. Not Germany actually developed the atomic bomb at that time, and and then United States just told those scientists, I can save you if you invest, if you can make the atomic bomb. So they took all the people to the Albuquerque, New Mexico. Some of you may think Albuquerque is the place you want to have job in the United States because there is very big national laboratories there. Nowadays, that is very, very wonderful and good national laboratory of the United States, one of several national laboratories. But 1945, 43, it was kind of nowhere among the desert area. they just took them into the desert area, and they just make some facilities, and then they threaten to them, if you don't make the atomic bomb, you can be dead. Well, fortunately, they can make atomic bomb in a couple of years under the Manhattan projects. At that time, nobody knows what that happened. People, bombard Oppenheimer and other physicists actually, they just quit, doing the research work because they know the atomic bomb actually killed the core of the innocent vehicles. So, well, the chemicals. Well, you can be very happy because you're very bright archivist students, right? And then you can have as much money as you can from DuPont and Samsung or LG Chemicals. But the important thing is we have kind of history here from the environmental side. You guys really need to think about what happened after committing this one. Am I doing the right thing? Because my family is happy, and the Korean government actually take you to the at the top and calling you the first scientist. And then maybe a couple of decades just passed, and some stupid scientist just found the chemical you investigated, made, can kill the people. Wow. But this is very, very important thing. So I think this is kind of very, very, being an environmental scientist is very happy. You guys can judge the people. You can judge the people. Although you are not smart, and based on your experimental results, you can judge the people. This is very, very wonderful part. You can even judge the Nobel Prize winner, definitely. I think there are many other chemicals here. There are DVD, and also there is one interesting, have you heard about the Agent Orange? Agent Orange. Heard about dioxin. Agent Orange is kind of the mixture of the hexachlorobenzene, which has 6 chlorine on the benzene ring. It is a kind of herbicide. It has been used 1960s Vietnam War. Well, Vietnam, people, they are very, very, nice people, and they fight very well, actually. And the jungle, actually. But the problem is, United States actually spray Agent Orange every day. What they did was it just dried up the plants. If you just sprinkling Agent Orange, because the color is orange, you can see in a couple of hours all the plants are dead. And then the army can march in and do some operation, right? The problem is Agent Orange usually contain impurities, called dioxin. So dioxin is kind of too chlorinated benzene, and then it was produced in high temperature. It is connected with O. We call it dibenzo, right? So this time. So, but the problem is the toxicity is very high, and it can kill the people. Some environmental scientists said that is the most toxic chemicals in the world, which have been ever made, actually. So I always, the Koreans always kind of have that to the Vietnam people. United States actually asked the Korean government to send the army to the Vietnam War, and they did something. Actually, now I'm not talking about that. United States actually want to did more, good operation, and they suppressed the Agent Orange as well, and the Surgeon, Yoon or Surgeon Ri from Korea, they are very, very ignorant people. They just from the countryside, and they think that is just kind of, fertilizer. So they just touch it with naked hand and spread it, Agent Orange. They can see the weeds actually dried up in a couple of times, and they did well, actually. The problem is dioxin actually penetrate through their skin. Well, you guys know, if the chemical can affect in a couple of hours, that's better for their lives. But the problem is the effect actually will be shown 10 or 20 years later. And then the worst problem is their siblings took the gene from them. So Agent Orange also has such kind of problems. So much of the environmental scientists actually recommended to the government, don't do this, because the chemical actually, is doing harm to the people and the environment. This is why the chemicals are so carefully monitored by the environmental scientists and environmental engineers. This is very, very important. I will just put this 7 slides on my homepage, and you guys can read it. I'm not, giving you the memorizing problem. I mean, what is the structure of the DDT? Just to draw it like that. I don't want to put it in the final. Just enjoy it, the coordinated chemical compounds. Well, anyway, being an environmental scientist and environmental engineer is kind of a good thing, but you really need to decide where to go. You can work as a dependent of the DuPont corporation, and you can work as a very radical activist at the Greenpeace. But both sides are too extreme, I think. I really want you to have a very good choice. All right, any question, any comments on the direction? No? Okay, if so, we will move to the environmental engineering side from the next Wednesday class. Thank you.